Good morning everyone and welcome to this morning's webinar. My name is Mike Darracott, Managing Director of MGISS Mobile GIS Services. Apologies for the slight delay. We've had some internet issues this morning. I'm hoping that it's been resolved. We seem to have a fair number of attendees now joining us, so I'm hoping that you can hear me. I'm just going to type a quick message into the chat box, and if anybody can't hear me, feel free to use the chat box in your console to let us know. I'll now make an assumption that you can hear me, and as such I'll kick off with this morning's presentation. Welcome to those who are attending for the first time, and welcome back to those who attended a previous webinar. The previous two webinars we ran sort of a month apart, sort of been a variation on the same theme, all about mobile GIS, and we've tried to dive into specific aspects of that. This morning's presentation is going to be slightly shorter, hopefully, than those before, and the focus is on looking at how you can create more of a seamless workflow. So that's from desktop to field and back to desktop and reporting again. So I just clicked onto the agenda slide. So beyond the welcomes, we're just going to explain a little bit more about what seamless means and whether it actually means more than you possibly think. We're then going to focus on a specific aspect of one of the previous webinars, which is looking at the components that make up a workflow or a mobile GIS workflow. So those of you who are attending this morning, some of you may have already got quite a mature GIS system as an asset owner or as a user of GIS. Some of you might be starting from scratch or on a blank canvas, so in some respects I've got a better choice of available technology. We also need to make a distinction between what is data capture and what can be regarded as data maintenance or asset inspection. You know, what are the differences between the two, and that affects the way you not only set up your workflow, but it also affects the type of technology that you can use in the field. We do also refocus on an aspect of trying to decide which workflow is best for you, and then again summary and feedback. Now we do get questions presented to us after the webinars, maybe questions about things that people didn't understand or ideas for future webinars. So we'll follow the same format again, and as I say, I'll try and allow an opportunity for people to steer what we'll be doing in the future. Okay, so what does seamless mean? Well, its definition is that it's smooth and continuous with no apparent gaps or spaces between consecutive parts. But in terms of, or practical terms of GIS, what we try to promote is that you're not double handling information. So you're not capturing data once and having to redigitize it into a database, which is typical of a pen and paper exercise where somebody's got to take that paper copy of information which is being captured in the field and then re-input it into GIS and maybe add positional information. So by creating a seamless mobile GIS, you are avoiding errors and the transcription of data. So again, that can affect the efficiency and cost of a complete end-to-end solution. But what you can also do with within a seamless mobile GIS solution is build in or integrate quality assurance and validation. And there are a number of different methods that you can do in order to try and avoid any or reduce the amount of post-processing you do before you get information to its final destination in the GIS. One of the more practical benefits to looking at more of a seamless approach is to reduce the amount of site revisits, or the amount of time you've got to spend trying to validate information, and that can very often mean that the field operatives have got to go back out, sometimes long distances, in order to get the right information. But further down the line, by having a seamless mobile GIS and having a more consistent approach to capturing information, it means that you can relocate assets better over time. So by capturing it right first time, you're then removing the need to improve it over time. And if you've got buried assets, or assets which you do need to relocate periodically because they're not distinct points on the ground, the whole situation is improved no end. But then in terms of being able to report both to clients, to internal departments, and for those who are industries that are regulated, by having a more seamless approach, it does ultimately result in a better means of reporting information back to those who rely on the use of GIS. And overall, you know, we all have customers, and what we're trying to do is improve the experience we give to our customers, because we're trying to use technology both for our own purposes and to drive efficiencies within our businesses, but also to help those who rely on us as customers. And it's not exhaustive, this list, so you know there are lots of added value, added benefits that you can bring to bear by adopting more of a seamless approach. So for those of you who attended a previous webinar, you might have already seen this slide a couple of times, and it presents an overview of a complete end-to-end solution. But what I'm wanting to do, based on some of the feedback we got, was just split it down into its individual components and look at the importance or the relevance of each of these components to a complete end-to-end solution. So the first component of any GIS or mobile GIS solution is the data, or as I like to call it, the data engine. And this might be it might be a blank canvas, as I indicated before. So you're wanting to go out and capture from scratch anything from trees to curbside assets, highways assets, overhead network assets. So you're starting with a blank database. Some of the more familiar GIS packages available, such as QGIS and Esri UK, others obviously are available, tend to form the basis of a visual aid and a database engine by which you can then build other components alongside, one of which then is field-based data capture. So one of the things that we always start when we do consultancy for people, or when we're building a solution, is making sure that the architecture and the database structure is meeting the needs of those end users. When we then look at data capture or data collection, we always promote the use of the best available technology. And if you're going out capturing any type of overground or buried asset, it needs to be at least map accuracy. Map accuracy in the UK being based on Ordnance Survey's large-scale topography database, which is MasterMap, which I'm hoping most of you will have either seen or are familiar with the term. So when we're promoting data capture or building a data capture solution, we always advocate the use of the highest accuracy of data capture, generally GPS enabled for a lot of our customers who are working in the field, in order to make sure that the positional information is captured first time and it's captured as accurately as possible. And then we focus on what tools are most cost effective for use in the field. So you've got then a link between your database and field operatives, either via a connected or a disconnected means, so that they can take either a blank form or a partially populated data form into the field and capture high accuracy positional information and other attributes, whether it's data, whether it's images, whether it's a combination of the two, and bring that back into the data engine. Then when we look at the distinction between data collection and data maintenance, the main distinction here is, well, if you've gone out and you've captured, or you've got an existing database which has got positional information in it, it may well be that you don't need to use high accuracy GPS in order to go out and undertake a periodic inspection or maintenance or reporting defects alongside existing network assets. So from a data maintenance point of view, or from a technology point of view, because of the proliferation of consumer platforms and apps available, you can actually reduce significantly the cost of carrying out inspections, because a lot of the attributes that you've captured first time around are now fixed. So not only do you reduce the size or the amount of data that you need to take out into the field, but you're also reducing the cost in terms of technology of how you can interact with that data in the field. So it might be anything from a smartphone with an app on board to a low level of positioning, so it's showing you where you are on the map and no more than that. You might then also look at other sensors which are being used to capture other types of information alongside that asset. And when you start to look at other components that you're adding onto a GIS system, two of those that we're increasingly finding ourselves as mobile GIS services developing are web-based interfaces which are delivering information to clients or customers or internal departments, and then reporting interfaces at the back end. So these can be anything from predefined or custom reports which are web-based right through to printed reports that you might be supplying to a contractor or to a customer. And you'll also see then the platforms that we're delivering custom reports or data out into could be anything from Google Earth, which anybody's got access to more defined CAD-based workflows such as Autodesk. One of the other components then is whether you would find viability in using the cloud to serve information. So the approach from data capture, data collection, and asset inspection or data maintenance can be disconnected. So you can check in information, check out, and upload it to a device to take out in the field. By adding in a cloud component, and this really is dependent on your own IT infrastructure and security, you've got complete connected activity, and also the ability to cache information and send it back to the cloud or directly back from the field without having to revisit or return to the office. So if you're part of a large field team, for instance, and you need them to share information in real time or near real time, then the cloud component of a mobile GIS workflow becomes more viable. And the final part of this is where we come in, or where we can provide independent advice, development capacity and expertise, is in looking at everything from the data engine, how you structure a database, through data capture and the components that you would need to achieve the highest levels of data capture, asset inspection and data maintenance, so that you're reducing the amount of effort and the amount of data flow to and from the field, and maximizing the use of technology, particularly from a cost-effective point of view, and adding on other sensors, and then looking at how you can incorporate cloud-based data retrieval and serving from your enterprise into the field. So that's just really breaking down one of the previous slides, and as I say, this is part of the typical consultancy that we're getting ourselves asked more about. So just as a couple of examples again of which workflow you'd feel is best for you. So we generally go through a series of questions that result in a recommendation. So one of these questions is based on whether you have the need to send data back while you're on site. So that could be you needing to report a defect immediately, or it could be that you're needing to send information back for validation or for sharing with other field representatives because you're working quite remotely. And if your answer to this is yes, then we tend to then advocate more of an occasionally connected workflow. A, because it's most cost effective, and B, because it means that you can connect and send information back whilst you've got a cloud capability or an internet connection, but you're not having to rely on it all the time. The example again is you've got more than one person in the field needing to synchronize data daily because they're working over larger geographies, or that you're wanting to make sure that there's no overlap between people working in adjacent areas or adjacent parts of a network. If you're an enterprise GIS user, however, so you may already have large mobile phone usage, mobile data plans, and you've got a back-end GIS system such as Esri, and you're also needing to send data back while you're on site, then we tend to look at a mix of applications and workflows that suit the end user requirement, because they might actually be capturing different types of information across different departments. So for instance, if you're an Esri user, and Esri have got a number of different mobile GIS applications available, we might advocate the use of a sort of low-level cloud-based application such as Esri Collector, which again has some advantages and disadvantages depending on what type of technology you're looking to employ, because it's a new app still in development, so you find it doesn't have the same level of capability with GPS information or GPS technology as you might find with something like Esri ArcPad, which is much of a more mature application. So it's about choosing the right app for the right workflow. And again, just focusing on something which is more product specific. So if you're then looking at data capture, but you're wanting to use an already existing hardware platform, then you can look at some of the available GNSS or GPS sensors, which are very much plug and play and scalable. So again, this is based on what we're seeing from our existing customer base, more and more working with an existing platform that they developed and wanting to plug in a higher level of data capture or asset inspection capability into an existing platform. So how do you do that? Well, you've got scalability with products such as the Arrow series of GPS, which will allow you to capture sub-meter down to centimeter accuracy. You can look at pole mounting a solution, which gives you vertical accuracy in real time, and then by pole mounting a solution, you've got a fixed height above the ground, particularly if you're wanting to capture very accurate height values. But you can also then plug other sensors such as laser rangefinders into consumer level platforms now, such as add-on laser rangefinders like Spike, and that allows you to capture calibrated imagery, but it's all based on plug and play. So it's very easy to adapt and build a cost-effective solution which is scalable. And again, looking at a previous slide where in a real-world situation you're having to either capture or relocate an asset, you've got a range of scales or accuracy levels that take you from consumer platform around about 5 meters of accuracy right down to sub-centimeter or certainly sub-10 centimeter surveying accuracy. So if you're wanting pinpoint accuracy, and you look at the bottom of that slide, products such as the Arrow 200 or the SP6080 or survey grade GPS receivers, and there's what those receivers are what are required in order to get you down to locating or relocating assets to the highest levels of accuracy. And you would do that, as we've previously discussed, through the application of real-time correction sources. A lot of our customers sit within the mapping grade range, so sub-meter, sub-1 meter down to half a meter accuracy. And then what that gives you is access to products such as the Arrow 100 or the Trimble R1, which are giving you real-time sub-meter capability without the need for any additional correction services or subscription costs. And both these types of receivers are highly portable and wearable. So it's plugging in a more accurate sub-meter capable, reliable receiver into an existing solution. That's what we're seeing most demand for within our core areas, and I'm suspecting that if there's an interest in improving the accuracy of your field data or wanting to go out and capture new data, this is the type of product that we would look to recommend. So again, summarising where we fit into this sort of the space for you. So it is very much about us trying to understand from an application end what it is you're trying to do, what type of assets you're trying to capture, what type of accuracy level you're trying to achieve, what type of environment you're working in, and on the basis of that we start to build a series of recommendations. We do provide independent advice, so although we're finding that specific products are outperforming others, you know, it is very much not a one-size-fits-all. So you know, we go through a series of steps and questions in order to give you the right answers for your requirements. And the focus from our point of view is on cost effectiveness. So in order to maximize or reduce the time to your return, getting the return on your investment, you need to make sure that the type of application, the type of technology partner, the type of technology that you're using is based on as whole a market view as possible. But ultimately, if you're trying to advocate a specific type of technology investment to the business, you're trying to reduce your risk. And we, as an organization, are very much focused on helping you reduce your risk while you're building a business case. And not only that, but then supporting you through the whole life cycle of that project. So it's not just about delivery, it's about implementation, it's about support. That's about the ongoing maintenance of that data, of that solution going forward. So because this is sort of more of a summary of the previous webinars and a specific focus, I think what we've tried to sort of head towards is a bit of a call to action on our part. What we're seeing, certainly this time of year, is a lot of people ramping up towards field season and investing in data capture technologies, and as part of that, what MGISS are offering is a free initial consultancy. And what that means is, it means that we then sort of revisit all those steps that we've talked about over the last couple of webinars, and ask those questions that allow you to get to the point where you can build a business case with full knowledge of what you need. And then, you know, as part of that, we're wanting to offer those who've both sort of joined us during the series of webinars, and also those who joined us today, maybe some sort of incentive. So it's a bit of a, I guess, a call to action on our part, but we're also trying to offer people a chance to come and talk to us and allow us to be part of your journey. So if you're in a position where you want to ask more questions, whether you want to look at some of the earlier webinars, we can provide you with information, or maybe you just want to get some advice and look to procure a product, then please get in touch with us, and we can get the ball rolling from our end. And hopefully you're able to take on board some of the information, dive back into some of the previous information, and get in touch. Please do. One of our sales team is always available at one of the contact methods below. You can contact me directly, either by email or phone. And I'll certainly be reaching out over the coming days and weeks and trying to hopefully further that conversation with you. So all that remains for me to do this morning is to actually thank you again for your time, for those who've joined us again. Apologies for the slight delay in getting the webinar off the ground. I think what we're going to do going forward is create more of these bite-sized webinars. So roughly half an hour in length. We're going to, and we have recorded this webinar, so we're going to be sending out a link so that you can share it with perhaps other people who haven't been able to attend from your organization. And we will also provide links through social media and SlideShare. One thing we also do, and I always mention this, is that we welcome any feedback, both good and bad. And if you've got any ideas for how we can extend this series, or how we can make it better, then please contact us and let us know. So thanks very much again for your time, and hopefully we'll hear from you and continue our conversation very soon. Thank you very much.